no vote, just the awards. Yeah.
But I'm saying, do I have to name each of them separately?
Do you want Susan, Tom, to call each of these, or are you going to take recognitions and just go? Do you want Susan?
I'll just take recognition.
And go.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now 6:30.
Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We will now call the meeting to order. Mrs. Petter, would you do roll call?
Mrs. Weider,
Here.
Mr. Simons,
Present.
Mrs. Cleveland,
Here.
Mrs. Moore,
Here.
Mrs. Kessler.
Here. Thank you. Next is approval and/or revision of the agenda. I skipped it. We'll go back. We'll do the agenda and then go back to the pledge. I'm sorry. I'm doing 20 things at once. Well, we'll go back. Pledge of Allegiance, please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next is approval and/or revision of the agenda.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the agenda.
Second. It has been moved and seconded. Mrs. Petter?
Mr. Simons,
Yes.
Mrs. Cleveland,
Yes.
Mrs. Moore,
Yes.
Mrs. Kessler,
Yes.
Mrs. Weider.
Yes. Thank you. Motion passes. Next is the inspirational message presented by Sharonville Elementary School.
It is my privilege to introduce Casey Jordan, elementary principal. These times, as we've talked about, multiple board meetings, they're the very best part of the board meetings. While we do celebrate, and we're going to do lots of celebration tonight, and that's certainly something that is so very valuable. But the reason why we're here is because of the students that we serve. And Mrs. Jackson, I know you're going to bring up this wonderful group of young ladies and gentlemen. Mrs. Jordan?
All right.
She, if you did not hear, Dr. Deborah Jackson said she was one of 11 being the best. Since you have 11 schools. Thank you very much. Casey Jordan, please.
All right, we'll have the children come on stage while we allow Dr. Jackson to get them assembled. Good evening, everyone. I am once again Casey Jordan. I'm the principal of the Sharonville Elementary School. And tonight I have with me our wonderful second graders. We are a Leader in Me school, and it is a leadership program that really just reinforces the idea of being a good person. It's a program that Sharonville really believes in, and our students have been working really hard with it. And so they are going to perform this evening, and one of their pieces, if I'm still with the correct agenda, is one they wrote themselves with the help of Miss Marcy. She's been accompanying Dr. Jackson. So they're a little nervous for their grand performance, but if you all will help me welcome my Sharonville second graders, we would appreciate it.
Pizza, pizza, daddy-o! Pizza, pizza, daddy-o! Pizza, pizza, daddy-o! Rope it, daddy-o! jumped so high, 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 they touched the sky, 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 and he didn't come back, back, back to the 4th of July, lie. Mary Mac, dressed in black, silver buttons all down her back. Hi-ho, 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 hi-ho. She asked her mother for 50 cents to see the
Excellent.
And I might tell you, Mrs. Dr. Jackson taught me how to sing once upon a time, so I appreciate it.
That's who we need. Ooh.
Next is recognition of visitors.
You got your mic.
Oh, your mic, it's on. Just talk
No.
closer to it.
Recognition of visitors.
We do not have any at this point.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is the category of recognitions. First is proclamation of Teacher Appreciation Week, May 8th through the 12th.
Thank you so much. I'm going to read a proclamation, but before I do, let's give Sharonville Elementary School one more round of applause, please. They're amazing. Teachers have and will always make an indelible difference in the lives of our students, the students that we serve. You saw that up here with two great teachers, certainly making a difference each and every day. So the board wishes to proclaim the following. Whereas education is a grand and powerful profession worthy to be honored and respected, and whereas excellence in education begins in the classrooms of our nation's schools. Teachers are among the professional educators who are charged with the responsibility of helping to shape the destiny of our country by teaching and guiding our children, youth, and adults. And whereas teachers are and will continue to be a dynamic force in the educational process, they have demonstrated through their sense of purpose and dedication to their profession that they're a major source of inspiration to our students. And whereas the teachers in the Princeton City School District have consistently demonstrated their professional competence and commitment to students through their willingness to give of their time, energy, talents, and ideas, they are to be praised for the progress our students are making. And whereas our teachers should be deeply respected and highly recognized for their contributions they have made to our country, our state, and our nation. And whereas a goal of Teacher Appreciation Week is to raise national and local awareness of teaching excellence in building a better society. Now, therefore, let it be resolved that Princeton City School District of the Board of Education declares May 8th through May 12th, 2023 as Teacher Appreciation Week, and urges all schools, centers, departments, parents, businesses, governmental and community agencies, and the entire community to participate in the celebration of the significant roles teachers play in shaping the lives of our students and the future of our great nation. Thank you to all the teachers, both here and not able to attend tonight. Let's give them a big round of applause. And when it comes to teachers, we all have 1,000 different stories, but coming from two teachers myself, I could tell you that the time and effort doesn't end at the beginning of every day, doesn't start at the beginning of the day, and doesn't end at 3 or 4 o'clock, whatever the day ends. I will tell you one of the most frustrating things that I've seen in my 36 years as a teacher, administrator, and superintendent is this, that we actually believe that we have weekends off. That's not true. Right? When you go on vacation, how many teachers out here can honestly say that you looked at something and you're like, that would be perfect for my classroom? That happens over and over and over again. I'm glad that this is being taped, and I hope somebody will send this to people who don't understand the value of teachers and what happens each and every day. Because while at Friday night they may be at a party and they may leave that party and they're not going to say, hey, I'm going to go home, grade a paper, do curriculum. I'm not going to say that because of the selfless giving over and over and over of teachers. But that's exactly what they do. So on top of urging everybody to recognize teachers, I'm going to urge all the teachers to tell their truth and their story. That doesn't start at the very beginning of the day and doesn't end at the end of the day. Because once you're a teacher, you're always a teacher, 24/7, 365. And speaking of unbelievable teachers that have contributed to 2 incredible students we're going to recognize right now, Ashley Connor and Sophie Roberts, if you would please come up to the podium. Thank you, while I talk about you. So Ashley is going to receive this beautiful certificate for being awarded a National Silver Medal in the 2023 Scholastic Art Competition. This is not easy to do. Ashley, if you would please go to the microphone and explain what medium you used, why you chose to do that, what you learned in calculus, and so forth. Just kidding. But could you please just describe a little bit of your artwork? Thank you.
It was was an assignment for photography. I took it over the summer, a couple years ago, and it was for a shadow project, and I just made it black and white. It was of a campground.
Did you think, Ashley, that you were going to receive this recognition at all when you took the picture?
I didn't even want to submit it.
That was absolutely amazing. So you didn't know it got submitted. You know who did submit it? The teacher. Teacher Appreciation Week lives on. Let's give Ashley a round of applause. And Ashley, if you could stand over here. Right in the middle, Ashley, we'll be right with you. Sophie Roberts, and I forgot to mention, too, that Ashley's a senior. Right there, honey, perfect. Ashley's a senior and is looking forward to commencement coming up. And the next step in her life, she's going to be a superstar, that's for sure. Sophie Roberts, grade 11, she's being awarded the American Visions National Medal and a Scholastic Gold Key Award at the 2023 Scholastic Art Competition, as well as being selected as a finalist in the Ohio Youth Governor's Exhibition. And I don't know if Sophie's going to tell this story, so I'm going to tell it, and then I'm going to let her add to this. She really didn't even like this picture, is what I heard. And literally, there's such a few percentage, I mean, it's minuscule, the amount of people, and Ms. Kessler, I know you're an art teacher, if you could jump in and talk about how rare this is to get this significant award. Ms. Kessler?
Yeah, this is the best award you can get as a photographer, the American Visions National Medal. It's the sought-after awards. I know I want all my students to try to get this, and actually, my students never have, so so congratulations, yeah.
Yes, so Sophie, can you talk a little bit about the picture and then talk about what you're going to do this summer?
My picture was of my friend, and she's looking through like a half-full glass, and her face is distorted, so, yeah. And then this summer, I'm going to be going to New York for the exhibition at Carnegie Hall.
At Carnegie, how about that? So if I could have the Board of Education move up here, we're going to take a picture with two fine young ladies and artists. I don't know if you guys saw that, but Ashley thanked me for having her speak as she's running away. Ashley, you did a great job, and congratulations again. So we have an opportunity every once in a while to, as superintendents in central office, to get to know students exceptionally well. As large district, it's hard to get to know every single student, although you saw some beautiful kids here today. It'd be wonderful if we got to know every single one, over 6,000, right? But there does come a student every once in a while that just kind of takes over your very being, who she is, what she represents. And we tend to talk quite a bit about Marielle Smith. So Marielle, if you could come on up here, please, and go to the podium. You knew this was going to happen, honey. So Marielle is being recognized, being honored tonight for being receiving an Ohio Alliance of Black School Educators Conference Award, recognizing her academic achievement and leadership. Marielle is also co-host of Viking Voices, the People of Princeton, with me, and steals the show every single time, and I love it. Marielle and I, we spend hours and hours and hours preparing for questions. No? Okay, we don't. But it doesn't matter because she's so very, very special. The questions she asks, they're so insightful, and it really does make the whole program flow so effortlessly. Marielle, if you could just talk a little bit about who you are, what are you going to do next year, and anything else.
I'm Marielle Smith, and I'm going to the University of Cincinnati next year to go for political science pre-law, so I'm super duper excited about that.
Okay.
Marielle Smith, everybody. And then we'd like to recognize in the class of 2024, Michael Iwano. Is Michael here today? Let's give him a big round of applause. Michael is being recognized for his perfect ACT score. It's American College Testing Exam, 36 out of 36. Woo-woo! Michael, if you could just talk a little bit about the Princeton advantage in your own words, like what does it mean to be here and maybe some opportunities you've taken advantage of since you've been here?
I really like Princeton because like all of my teachers, they're just really good teachers. I'm able to build like these one-on-one connections with them, and they get to know me past my academic life, and I think that's what makes Princeton so good.
Thank you, Michael. All right, Board of Education. And Dr. Mary Phillips, if you would please come up here. As Dr. Maxim affectionately calls her, the GOAT, the greatest of all time. For sure. When I said that to Mary, did you hear what Dr. Maxim said, the greatest of all time? She said, I know. Dr. Phillips, you just come right in the middle. Please just... right in the middle, don't worry. Well, you should be, but come on. Thank you. So Dr. Mary Phillips, she's being recognized tonight for being honored at the 2023 Ohio Alliance of Black School Educators Conference, recognizing her exceptional leadership and performance in advancing the educational mission of the district. And so for 43 years in this district, 46 total years in education, Dr. Mary Phillips will be recognized here in a little bit for great years of service and all that stuff. But I said this today at the Leadership Academy meeting. Never in my life have I ever worked with a better colleague. Dr. Mary Phillips has been there lifting and pushing and driving each and every day. The endless amounts of energy she has, it's literally unmatched. And every once in a while, people say, I'm relatively energetic, Mary, but you put me to shame. I don't know how you do it. Every day you wake up with a smile on your face, a can-do attitude, just incredible. Dr. Mary Phillips, everybody. You know, every once in a while in education, when, and many of you have had an opportunity to interview people, and I know the teachers that are here, some of you have served on committees, you just know that special person when they come in front of you, just the way they carry themselves, their infectious energy and attitude, and that is certainly the case for Natasha Hurt-Hayes. Natasha, if you coming up here, please, to be recognized. One of the biggest awards that you can get in education is being named an education champion by the Ohio Education Association. Natasha does unbelievable work each and every day. She doesn't mind pushing and challenging the status quo, and quite frankly, in life, if we had more Natasha Hurt-Hayes, I think we would have been a lot better off in general. Natasha gives and gives and gives. She represents so many teachers here as well. When you talk to Natasha about any individual accolade, she won't accept anything for herself. But Natasha, tonight, you're going to accept this for yourself. Congratulations. And last and certainly not least, Darren Braddix. Darren, if you can come on up here, please. So Coach Braddix, Darren Braddix, is being recognized tonight for being named the Ohio Association of Track and Cross Country Coaches Fred Daffler Girls Track and Field Career State Coach of the Year 2023. Big round of applause. You know, for those people that know me well, Coach, and I know you know me well, I sometimes get to a story and it sticks with me. And one of the stories I'll never forget is when you recognize some girls, my first year as a superintendent, on this stage for making it to states. And they left this gymnasium, and they were looking forward to going to work out to get ready for next year. As a reminder for those people, the state championship is in June. They wouldn't run again for another 12 months, and the kids were looking forward to it because Coach Braddix's attitude, his professional way of working with the girls to make sure that they represent themselves the very best they possibly can, and ultimately the team, the school, and the whole environment. But those girls work so unbelievably hard, and Coach Braddix here tonight said that 4 state champions this year, 4 relays, right, Coach? You guaranteed that? Thank you. Coach Braddix, Coach of the Year. As Coach Braddix leaves the stage, I wanted to say this, that Coach Braddix is actually a really, really humble man. Of course, he did not say guaranteed 4 state championship relays. Actually, he says the same thing all the time. Mr. Burton, I think we're going to be pretty good. Well, Coach, you're more than pretty good. Congratulations one more time, Coach Braddix and all the other recipients. I'm going to call up Dr. Kevin Jameson for another beautiful recognition. Dr. Jameson.
As we get ready to recognize our Year 4 educators, I'd like for resident educators who are Year 4 this year to join us up on stage, along with Dr. Deborah Jackson. So the resident educator program, if many people have been keeping track on it, it has transitioned from a 4-year program to a 2-year program starting this school year. And when I think about this group of resident educators, this is the group that started and then ended their first year in teaching with the pandemic. So it's required a lot of tenacity and dedication on their ability to really focus on providing services and supports to students, as well as teaching on a day-to-day basis. So I'm going to have Dr. Jackson talk a little bit about the resident educator program and about a minute as we bring up our resident educators.
And he told me 1 minute, and I'm obedient. Resident educator program is a time where we help develop our teachers into what we call the Princeton way, whatever that is. We develop them into the Princeton way. It is accumulated this year with a 4-year program, and I'm very honored because I love working with young teachers, and you folks have been the joy of my existence this year. So we're going to honor them. Some of them are here and lots of them are not, but we're going to read their names anyway. Charles Tidman, Abby Schwechner, I'm sorry, my articulation is not so good. Nick Talley, Vanessa Rivera Gonzalez. Loved it. Anna Malia Race from Sharonville. Grace Kneecap. As you can see, I have a personal relationship with these folks, I'm sorry. Ashley Morrow, Greer Cook Shirt, Erica Holden, Rebecca Florio, Caleb Farrell, Carolyn Ferranisi, Kimberly Esty, Marissa Boyle, Samantha Shoemaker. And as a person who used to be a young teacher, I really was a long time ago, you don't understand how important these mentorship programs really are. Not only add to the development of how the district wants you to do it, but to help you get your saw together as you begin your journey as a teacher. I'm so proud of all of you.
Dr. Jameson and Dr. Jackson, you guys certainly told the truth when it comes to the importance of mentorship, and that's why we're committed to continue this program to make sure that we have mentors for each and every new teacher and the great work that's been done. Certainly we appreciate that. I'm going to call up to stage Tricia Roddy, who's going to do the recognition for Viking Excellence recipients for this school year. And the Board of Education, I know you just sat down. But if you guys can come up, and then we'll just get a big line, and this will be a little bit more expeditious. Thank you.
Good evening. It's my pleasure to read the Viking Excellent Award winners for this year. If you would come up as your name is called. From Evendale Elementary, we have Jill Kiszewski and Kathy Dumas. From Glendale Elementary School, we have Aaron Drama and Enriqueta Orto Perez Thomas. From Heritage Hill Elementary School, we have Amber Jones and Chris Schuloff. From Lincoln Heights Elementary School, Julie Rowe Brown and Dwayne Bennett. From Sharonville Elementary School, Rachel Chastain and April Anderson. From Springdale Elementary School, Tina Davis and Don Schneider. From Stewart Elementary School, Stephanie Stepp and Cindy Douglas. From Woodlawn Elementary School, Amy Robinson and Debbie Fusen. The Viking Excellent Award winners from Princeton Community Middle School are Janet Davenport and Amber Benjamin. From Princeton High School, Brian Mulholland and Jim Bowling. And from the Princeton Innovation Center, Deanna Pinkney and Donnie Malachi.
Being able to recognize the future of Princeton, the new teachers, the students, it's just so amazing. All the recognitions that we've had tonight, Scholastic Award winners, reading proclamations or whatever, and now we're going to recognize the end of some careers. Dr. Jameson?
So it's my privilege to recognize this awesome group of educators. And so as I call your name, please come up to the stage. The first, Jennifer Bays. Debbie Birch. Teresa Brunk. Carol Carver. Kimberly Chambers Nelms. Janet Davenport. Larry Foster. Kathleen George. Sherry Hageman. Margaret Hiller. Benita Layson. Janet Main. Eugene Meister. Kathleen McGee. Denise Montgomery. Joe Morgan. Kristen Rojas. Beth Schweikert. Patricia Smith. Bev Warner. Roseanne Walker. And our last two, Dr. Mary Phillips. And Mr. Thomas Burton. So let's congratulate our class of 2023 retirees.
As the retirees walk off the stage, I wanted to just add a very quick thought. Since this was kind of the official recognition tonight, I just wanted to thank the Board of Education for entrusting me with leading the district filled with amazing students, staff, teachers, administrators, and an educational community that I think is second to none. When I was speaking a little bit at the OAPC conference, I talked about the number of minutes and seconds in my career, but and I know Dr. Phillips, you have me on this, but 315,360 hours that I've worked in education, 18,921,600 minutes I've worked in education. That's a lot of minutes. But I'd say this, in each and every one of the minutes, the seconds, the hours, the days, whatever, I've been lifted by other people. I've been lifted by unbelievable people that have changed my life for the better. The students that brighten each day, the staff, the teachers who time and time again give everything they can, the administration for leading the work each day despite turbulent times every once in a while, the educational community for giving us the very best that they can, and the Board of Education for their tireless advocacy. However, I can't even begin to close without talking about the most important people in my life, and that's my wife, Franca, who's actually also an employee in the district. My two sons, Bryce and Tommy, are here tonight, and Kaylee, unfortunately, couldn't be here tonight, but I want you to know, as I'm looking at my beautiful wife and two boys and Kaylee on video, I'm sure, that the time that I wasn't at home, when you wanted me to be home, when I missed coaching, when I missed events, when I did all that, please know that while I wasn't at home for you, I was always trying to be home for somebody else. Somebody else that needed me when you knew that I was going to come home at night. You knew that I was going to read to you guys, to give you a kiss or a hug goodnight, to keep you up too late because I was just so excited about having kids in my life, getting in trouble every once in a while for my wife for waking up the kids who were perfectly asleep. I'm still paying for that one. But I have to say this honestly, that your willingness to sacrifice time with me, I'll never forget, and I hope that in some small way that the sacrifice you gave in me led to some other people's lives, that maybe it was a little bit better because the team that I had the pleasure of leading, that we were in there, leading and trying to help others benefit. When I hear others give me compliments, I always talk about other people in my life, but nobody is more important than my wife, Franca, my daughter, Kaylee, my son, Bryce, and my son, Tommy. I think they're the best family anyone could have. I love you all. Now, at this point, I know you guys want to leave, so if you stay, it could be rather long. I'm just telling you. So if anybody would like to go right now, certainly thank you guys for attending, but we do have some other business at hand. Mrs. Whiter?
Thank you. Next is the consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
It has been moved and seconded. Mrs. Petter?
Mrs. Cleveland?
Yes.
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Kessler?
Yes.
Mrs. Whiter?
Yes.
Mr. Simons?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. Next is district business. First, oh, I'm so sorry.
Yes.
I'm just focused here.
I stand on behalf of some outstanding principals that would like to do something very special for Mr. Burton and Dr. Mary Phillips, and they would like to come up right now.
Wonderful. Isn't that nice? You gotta go up. Go on up, Tom. You gotta go up.
Coming up. I'm going down. I'm coming down. No, she has to come up.
You gotta come up. They
You
gotta come up.
You gotta come up.
Come up.
One more picture. One more picture.
We want a picture with them.
One more picture.
Can we get a photo with them? Susan?
Yes.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. We get our photo now.
Thank you, Sue. Yeah. SCENTS, right?
Next, I don't think we've ever gotten up and down this many times.
Good workout.
Well, I'll lose some weight, that's good. Next is district business. First is approval of April 2022 financial and investment report. Mrs. Petter, is that you? Do you need to say anything?
I need a motion.
I move to approve the April 2022 financial and investment report as presented.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Mrs. Petter?
Okay, yeah, it's been such a great, exciting night. Now we're going to talk about numbers. I mean, come on. So, April report's all attached to your board docs. We are now 2 months remaining in the fiscal year. Things are going well. Right now, we're projecting revenue ahead of forecast because we have an increase in the DPIA funding. Originally, when the Fair School Funding Plan was put in place, they pushed the initial first payment of DPIA back to the second year. Instead of a 2-year phase-in, DPIA was going to start in the second year because most of the schools receiving DPIA funds were already getting so much ESSER money. Well, then this year, towards the beginning of 2023, the governor decided he would catch that up. So we got our second year phase-in carried back to the start of this year, so now we actually have 2 years of DPIA. We do receive some funding for that. So that was one reason. And then our real estate taxes came in a little bit ahead, which is good. We saw some new construction in the district, and then we saw some delinquencies paid back at a higher level than we've seen in the past. So those are two things that boosted our revenue. Expenses are coming in under budget. We need to hang on here and see how May and June go. Typically, we do some decent amount of spending because we've put in those last requisitions for the year, and those are being completed. But I would assume that we will finish better than forecasted in expenses also. The ESSER funding report is also attached. Again, I'll remind the board that ESSER 2 ends this year. We are going to submit our final change to that budget with the state this week. We'll get our final requisitions in prior to June 30. Those must be expended out before and reported out by the end of September. Then we will be done with ESSER 2. ESSER 3 is well spent also. We'll have to finish that up next fiscal year. But then that should be the end of the ESSERs. And all the treasurers in the state said yay. So, but no, I mean, can we imagine what we would have done without those funds? They truly did help us catch our children back up. So, other items attached are your credit card report, simply a requirement the auditor that we show you that every month, and the reconciliation and the investment reports also, and that is your April financial report.
Okay, and we need a motion to,
Well,
no? Yes?
question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
On the delinquencies that were caught up, would that have any correlation to the price of real estate being?
I don't know that it actually does. We get probably a little lower than normal collection than many of the Hamilton County districts, at about 96%. Typically, collections around 98%. Just may have been, you know, maybe people had some extra money in their pocket, or maybe they just got finally caught and had to come back.
Or they wanted to keep the property
Mm-hmm.
because of its value, maybe?
They just didn't pay their taxes on time.
Right.
So,
Any other questions? Then is there a motion to approve?
Mary already motioned.
We
I
made the
believe
motion, we
John
just need to
seconded.
Okay, then and it was seconded?
Yes, I second.
Okay, I didn't hear you, I apologize. Okay,
I was
Mrs.
using my inside voice.
Hmm?
I was using my inside voice.
Okay, thank you for using your inside voice. Okay, Mrs. Petter?
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Kessler?
Yes.
Mrs. Wider?
Yes.
Mr. Simons?
Yes.
Mrs. Cleveland?
Yes.
Thank you, motion passes. Next is approval of resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission.
I move to approve the resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission as presented.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded.
This is an annual item. Every year, the process starts in January. When we do the tax budget, you approve that at that time, then travels back to the Hamilton County Commissioners. They review and approve it in April. Then you get it back to review. I do that on your behalf.
And again, then we have you approve this resolution, and it goes back to Hamilton County.
Anything else? Mrs. Petter?
Mrs. Kessler?
Yes.
Mrs. Wyder?
Yes.
Mr. Simons?
Yes.
Mrs. Cleveland?
Yes.
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Thank you, motion passes. Next is approval of proposal from Veritiv Corporation.
I move to approve the proposal from Vertiv Corporation as presented.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Just very quickly, that this is for a UPS backup system and the installation and replacement of batteries for technology. Thank you.
Tom, could you help us understand or me remember UPS? That means something different to me.
Yes. So this is for the, I'm pulling this up right now. I know part of this is what Chris Lockhart talks about as techno-babble. So I'm looking this up real quick, but it's a name, Mr. Simons.
United Parcel Service.
Mr. Lockhart, very briefly, if you could drop some knowledge on us.
Extremely briefly, is uninterrupted power supply. High school and middle school, they've reached the age of their batteries, so we need to replace them.
Thank you, Mr. Lockhart. Uninterrupted power supply is UPS, not United Parcel Service.
What are they powering?
They are powering the network equipment, the switches,
Yep.
servers that run actually half the district, because half the district's computers are there. So that's what they run.
Mr. Lockhart, if we can, not this board meeting, but not after this one or the work session, the following one in June when we're back here, let's just do a quick little tour so that people could see, like, the closets is what we call them. It's really amazing. So when you open it up, you'll see all kinds of technology, and you'll understand a little bit more with the switches, because we've done a really, really good job of replacing them on cycles, but as servers get older, switchers, we have to replace more switches. It would be something good, because in upcoming years, will we not have to replace quite a few of them?
Well, we have them on a regular rotation. Through the availability of E-rate, we just kind of parse them out so that we're managing our finances. So each year we do a piece and a part. It's just this one's expensive because it's these, and when we do the tour, you'll see them, big stacks that have batteries in them, so when the power goes out, the equipment keeps running.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Lockhart.
Any other questions or discussion? Mrs. Petter?
Mrs. Wyder?
Yes.
Mr. Simons?
Yes.
Mrs. Cleveland?
Yes.
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Kessler?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. The next item is approval of overnight out-of-state field trips for Princeton athletic teams.
I move to approve the overnight out-of-state field trips for Princeton athletic teams as presented.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Just that we're trying to be very thoughtful in making sure that we give the Board of Education plenty of time prior to a trip happening. But these are all great opportunities for our student athletes, and the vast majority of all of this is paid for out of fundraising, with the exception of the track and field state championship. But we do get reimbursement from Ohio High School Athletic Association on that.
Anything else? Mrs. Petter?
Mr. Simons?
Yes.
Mrs. Cleveland?
Yes.
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Kessler?
Yes.
Mrs. Wyder?
Yes. Thank you. Motion passes. Next is a discussion of the academic update.
Thank you, Mrs. Wyder. Tonight, I'm going to pass this information out, but I want to read it first just because I know this is near and dear to the Board of Education. This is kindergarten enrollment where we are right now. Okay? So last year, we had 96 full day and 21 half day that have already done the registration. At this point last year, as of May 8th. This year, and I believe this is direct correlation, actually causal relationship, which is stronger than correlation, with the board action of saying we're going to pay for full-day kindergarten. So this year, to date, we have 232 full-time, or full day, excuse me, which is amazing, and right around 10 half-day. So when you do that, the earlier the better, because we know, and Tanya Westwright certainly has talked about this for many years, is that we always get this late rush. So when we get this late rush, we hope to have more kids in school. We want kids to utilize our pre-K program, as we are the only 5-star provider in the area, step up to quality. But the reality is many of our parents, unfortunately, don't when we look at our pre-K numbers. So getting them in early full day for kindergarten is absolutely a must, because when kids start learning in kindergarten, if that's their first foray into any type of authentic learning and play experience and learning the letters and so forth, they're already way behind. So this move in the Board of Education last year was great, and you see it's paying dividends. I'm going to pass these out and we welcome any questions.
I think it's quite impressive that you went from 96 full day to 232. How do you account for that? What happened that caused us to get more?
Sure, I think in part it's because of the word got out that we were no longer charging full day. And then I also think Tricia Roddy and her team and the principals have done an unbelievable job, as well as Patty Fong and many others, Ronald Fosnow, Dr. Fosnow, and again, many others for getting the word out.
That's great. Thank you for your work.
So thank you.
Okay, anything else about kindergarten?
I do have a question about preschool.
You have a question about
I know
preschool?
it's not about
No, that's
preschool
okay.
tonight, though.
Fire away.
But are we, I'm wondering, getting them into kindergarten is great, but I'm wondering, are we getting an increase in 3 and 4-year-olds in preschool, but then we charge for preschool, don't we?
We do. We have a sliding scale.
Okay.
But yeah, we'd be glad to provide that information
Okay,
for
I'll get
you.
it later. Thank you.
The numbers that are behind, or appear to be behind, there's a space left.
Mhm.
Do you expect that to be full
Well, when I,
point before school starts?
for sure, right? I mean, if you just look statistically on what we normally have, so if we had 96 that by May 8th, right, and so we're over 300, closer to 400 now, I believe. So when you look at those numbers, if we feel like we've gotten new parents and we get another 200, then this would be one of the largest kindergarten classes we will have had.
Any other questions? Okay. If not, then first reading of the 2023-2024 Polaris Curriculum Guide.
Yes, and if you remember, we've had, this was approved before, so it went through 2 readings. And then we had this great discussion on our STEM program, making sure we still offered that at a high level to allow our students to get STEM cords, which obviously is very beneficial for them, as well as calling a class a class. So instead of the college prep, college prep algebra would be called algebra. So, and that was direct feedback from students, and so all those changes are in the Polaris. And those are the only changes that are in there from when we approved it the last time. Yes, sir.
Approval global or just on the changes?
No, it would be it would be global. Yep.
Any other questions? If not, we will go to the treasurer's report.
I gave each board member a copy of the Finding Leaders survey. They would like as many of you to complete that as possible. There's an email address you can return it to. And then the second item is next Monday is our rescheduled work session. And we're going to have to go over the forecast and review it. I'm going to have to ask you to approve it that night also, since it is due by the end of May. And we just got pushed back with our 7 meetings in April. We had great focus, but now we have to do a little catch up in May. So we'll do that next meeting. Remember, we just did approve it in February, that update. So we'll go over the changes since then. So this is just the catch up final for this year. And I'll review that with you. Okay.
Any questions? If not, we will move on to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, President Wider. So a couple quick updates. You know, we talked about having this contract for athletic trainers with Mercy Health, and even though we had a contract through next year, they actually exercised our exit clause, which they had to let us know 6 months prior to the potential or the cancellation of the contract. Myself and Mr. Roberts met with multiple people in this field trying to get free athletic trainers with a partnership. So I mentioned this at Leadership Academy today, that we struck out multiple times and we gave it one last college try and got to the right people. And there's an agreement that will be coming forth after the attorney, Chris Petter, myself, John Fricke, and others look at this to basically give us, our athletic trainers, a 5-year deal, potentially 5-year deal for free, which has over $1.5 million savings to this district. Now, it's not going to be, it's not in the 5-year forecast right now, but it would have had to have gone on in the 5-year forecast. So this could have been really, really bad for the district. So I wanted to thank Joe Roberts for his tireless effort in putting up with my endless amounts of questions and badgering to get some of these meetings together. But we're going to have to give a little bit, and we'll talk a little bit about what that looks like later once the MOU gets. But it's an unbelievable deal for this district. We feel we're being very fair with NovaCare as well, and look forward to hopefully a very long partnership with them. The other thing is the potential vision program that we've talked about a couple different times in work session. I just wanted this to kind of go on record for the public. You know, one of the things that I've been so very, very proud of with Princeton is the fact that don't rest on any laurels. We certainly don't let any grass grow, and we work as hard as we possibly can to create innovative programming for the benefit of our students. This is yet another example of doing so. We know that many of our students and many students across this country, the very first time they go through vision screening, we find that many of the students need glasses or some type of therapy. And so we have programs with lens crafters and others where thankfully they donate glasses and, you know, to additional screening of the eyes to be able to provide some eyewear for students, which is awesome. But some of our students need much more than that. And so this potential partnership would allow our students to have free access to vision therapy, which is not a vision screening, but it's vision therapy. So there's a lot that can happen. And again, this will not take place without board action, without an MOU. That would have to take place. And vetting with attorney, Chris Petter, and many other people. But this would be zero cost to the district. All the equipment would be supplied by the company and staffing as well. So this could be something that would be very, pardon the pun, but certainly very visionary with this program of vision screening and therapy, or excuse me, vision therapy. And then lastly, all over the news tonight you will see Woodlawn Elementary School. What a great day it was to be in Woodlawn as the Bengals came out. We had a couple of Bengals players that attended, which was great. We had Who Day, which I learned today was actually the mascot. I thought Who Day was something that just Cincinnatians screamed, legit, 100%. I did not know that. They're like, Who Day's here? I'm like, yeah, you say Who Day. And they're like, no, it's the tiger or Bengal tiger, right? I had no idea. But what a day it was. It was so exciting. And that, I tell you what, you talk about small and mighty Woodlawn Elementary School, man, they rocked the house. It was amazing. So doesn't matter whatever news channel you look at, they were all there, right, Mrs. Roddy? Yep, they're all there. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is the board report. Does anybody from the board have any information for the good of the cause?
Sure, I do. Just another reminder, the Scarlet Oaks graduate or senior ceremony is going to be held 2 weeks from today, May 22nd, Fifth Third Arena at UC, 7 p.m. Just wanted to also note that the same restrictions that apply when we're there in terms of what you can bring into the arena applies. So make sure that it's a small purse or it's clear. But again, if you have any questions on that, it is on their website as well. But they just brought that up to the board's attention over at Great Oaks, so I wanted to make sure I presented that here as well. And then the other thing is Learning Grove Early Learning Center over at Scarlet Oaks will be closing in August due to low enrollment, which we just found out about a couple days ago. So just wanted to let the public know that it's no longer going to be there.
And just a reminder regarding the graduation, Mr. Fricky has arranged for any transportation if anybody would like to do that to attend graduation. Be a little bit easier with all the different graduations going down there. So if any board member would like to go, just contact Mr. Fricky, and he said he would take you in his Uber XL. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Frick.
Yeah, there will be a graduation that starts at 4 o'clock, Diamond Oaks, and so it'll be a lot of traffic in between time. So thank you.
Anybody else? I will say, as we have reached this point in the year, I'm finishing, I believe it is, my 12th year on the board, and this has certainly been the best board, the easiest to work with. I mean, everybody does what everybody's supposed to do, and there's no drama. So thank you. Okay. Anything else? Okay. Next is executive session. Do we have a motion? Well, then I move we go into executive session to discuss the employment of a public employee and Section 4 of the Ohio Revised Code. Is there a second?
Oh, second.
Second.
Oh, you second?
Okay. It has been moved and seconded. Mrs. Petter?
Mrs. Cleveland?
Yes.
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Kessler?
Yes.
Mrs. Wider?
Yes.
Mr. Simons?
Yes.
Thank you.